What's going on, fellas? So the skills that I'm going to show you today are going to help you stand out and get an advantage in not only your personal life, but also your professional life as well. All right, now I got a lot to cover today, so I'm going to get straight into it. All right, fellas, now the first thing you need to become a dangerous man, and there's actually two things. One thing is you need to always be aware, and the second thing is you need to always be prepared for war. So the first type of detector that you need is a bullshit detector. You need to be able to decipher whether somebody is full of shit or not. I see so many men every single day that are easily manipulated, easily won over, and easily fooled. Why? Because they can't tell when somebody is full of shit. All right, fellas, I got a keen sense for bullshit nowadays. When I was younger, I was a bit naive and modest to this, but I'm 34 now, and I've gotten to the point where I can look a man in his eyes, and I'm not always 100% correct. All right, fellas, because some people got a poker face. But in most cases, I can look a man in his eyes, and I can tell whether he's full of shit, whether he can be trusted, whether he's lying when he's talking to me, or whether or not I can depend on that man. Guarantee you 100%. So you need to build this skill. How do you build this? First, you got to start being honest with yourself and telling yourself the truth. All right? When you are honest with yourself and you don't lie to yourself, and every morning when you look in the mirror, you tell yourself the fucking truth, it's easy to look at a man who doesn't. Why? You can tell by his body language. You can tell he's not confident in what he's saying. And this goes across the board, even when you're dealing with women. As you get older, you're going to start to develop this. And all the older guys who are watching, you know what I'm talking about. So first thing you need to become a dangerous man is a bullshit detector. The next type of detector you need, and this is important, this is not only going to give you an advantage in life, but this is going to actually save your life. You need a threat detector. Some of you guys walk around planet Earth with no sense of awareness. And if somebody walked up to you in your face in broad daylight and knocked you upside your head, you wouldn't even see it coming. Why? Because not only are you not aware, but most of you guys are distracted. Gee, when I go out and I ride my bike, y'all know I'm into motorcycles. And if I'm not working or sleep, I'm probably riding my motorcycle. So when I go out and I'm looking around and I see people walking on the sidewalk and walking in public or even walking in a grocery store, gee, I guarantee you, 8 out of 10 people, if they got attacked, whether it was from behind, from the side, from their peripheral, or even from in front, they would not even see it coming. Why? Because one, most people walk around with flip-flops and headphones with their head down in their phone, so they won't even notice a threat. And two, when most people go into vicinities, buildings, places, they're not even aware of their environment. See, if you ever go anywhere with me, you will notice as soon as we walk into any building, the first thing I look at and try to find before we sit down and eat our food is the exits. I'm looking for all the exits in the building. Why? Because you never know what's going to happen. You never know on that lovely, beautiful afternoon that we go out to eat that somebody decide to shoot the place up. You never know. And if you don't know where the exit's at, you're going to be an innocent bystander. All right, fellas. So as a man, and even when it goes down to you walking down the street, you need to know if there's a threat present. You need to know based on somebody's body language or their demeanor or their attitude or even their facial expressions, whether or not they're a threat to you, the people around you, or just period. As a man, and especially as a dangerous man, you need this. Why? Not only to protect you, but also to protect the people around you in case of danger. So two type of detectors you need, fellas. A bullshit detector as well as a threat detector. Next one. All right, fellas. And we're going to talk about my favorite topic. All right, fellas. And that's eye contact. Now, obviously, eye contact is something natural. So you probably wouldn't necessarily call it a skill. But if you can understand how vital eye contact is in certain situations, I guarantee you will start to work on it and make it a skill. All right, G. So let me give you an example. If I see a man standing in front of me, let's say 10 feet away and I'm in a public place, all right, G, and I make eye contact with him just by happenstance, and he's staring at me. I'm talking about he ain't breaking eye contact at all. What I will not do once I notice him staring at me, I will not immediately look away. because you never know what intentions that man has. If he actually is a threat and you look away, you're going to look intimidated. And if he's a real threat and a real predator, that's your ass, especially if you can't defend yourself. This happens every single day. This may not have happened to you. You may not have ever heard about it, but it happens. So let me tell you what I would do. If I see a man staring at me, especially if it's slightly aggressive, I'm going to keep eye contact with him. And I'm going to hold eye contact. And the only time I'm going to break eye contact is probably after about 5 to 7 seconds. Once I notice that he ain't about to break it. And all I'm going to do is suddenly nod my head. All right, fellas, what that shows is dominance. What that shows is you're not intimidated and you don't mind giving a fade out. But at the same time, you don't really want no smoke because you don't even know that dude. So, fellas, some of you guys get picked on, you get bullied, and even in some cases, you get attacked because of this right here. All right, fellas, there are some people in the world that are sharks and they look for weakness in people. And this is one of the ways that you can show weakness. So as a man, if you want to be dangerous, bro, you don't even know. You can neutralize so many threats just by holding eye contact. All right, fellas, pay attention. Next one. All right, fellas, another skill you need to develop. And this is another one of my favorites. And this is something that I actually just started recently talking about on my channel, and something I'm really going to be diving deep into as my videos progress. Fellas, there is something that a lot of you guys have that you need to take out your toolbox. Now, I get it. At times, as men, even as human beings, we need to take a break to rest. Gee, I go to bed every night and take a few hours to rest. Why? Because I work hard and I don't stop and I'm consistent and I'm persistent and I don't have an off switch. So I can understand when you've been working hard and you've been killing it and you've been producing and get results that you got to take time to rest and celebrate a little bit. But some of you guys find every fucking reason under the blue moon to stop your production and to stop doing what you got to do and to simply stop working. All right, fellas. So what I mean and what I'm trying to say is 90% of men, to be honest, from what I'm seeing, need to get rid of their off switch. And what I mean by that is you need to get to a point where if you're trying to get somewhere in life as a man, you have to understand momentum. And you will never build momentum if you keep stopping. A lot of guys keep switching up on things. They start this business, they start this side hustle, then it don't work, then they switch. They start this entrepreneur journey, then it don't work, then they switch. I'm like, gee, how many times you gonna start over? And it's not even that sometimes. Some guys stay on the same path, but they just keep stopping. Whether or not they get distracted, whether or not they get bored, whether or not they see some ads on TikTok and Instagram, they got an off switch. Gee, you got to get rid of this. There are some men, and I can't stress this enough. Gee, if we were in ancient times, back with our ancestors, gee, if we were way back in the day, there are some men who are built different. There are some men who will be on black horses with battle axe, running around, chopping people's heads off. There are men who are built different. And these men still exist today. Now, they're not running around chopping people's heads off, but they're warriors in today's modern world. And these type of men don't have an off switch. All right, fellas, they will do anything to get what they want. And the craziest thing about this, and the reason why you need to pay attention to what I'm saying, is because whatever you're doing in life, whether it's a business, whether you're trying to get a woman, you are competing with these men. These men who are killers, and you waking up every day saying you gonna get it, and these men ain't even going to sleep. All right, fellas. Now, I'm not saying you can't go to sleep. Don't take it so literal. You get what I mean. You don't need to take a break from most of the things that you guys taking a break from. These old long-ass routines you guys got to meditate and do all this shit to reprogram your mind just to start the fucking day. Gee, that's why you're losing. As soon as you open your eyes in the morning, wash your face, say your prayers, and get to work. All right, fellas? I am telling you, this is the biggest reason most of you guys are losing. Some of you guys got the whole blueprint. But the problem is, every time you take a step and you move forward, there's always a reason, tangible or intangible, to get you to slow down or to stop. Fellas, I guarantee you, in the real world, you will not win. Don't let anybody sell you a dream. The law of attraction is somewhat real. But at the end of the day, you got to put your feet on the ground and get to work. You can't think your way to success. You can't think your way to most things in life. Most things you're going to have to get your hands dirty. Stop being so casual about life. At some point, you got to get hardcore. At some point, you got to put your fucking head down and get to work. All right, G? Next one. And that leads me to my next point. And I'm going to tell you a quick story, give you a personal experience why I definitely understand this and why you should definitely take this advice. All right, G? Most men don't have the ability to be bored. Let me tell you a hard fact about life as a man, especially if you want to be a dangerous man. Life is not about fun. Your purpose is not to wake up every day as a grown-ass man and be looking for fun. All right, G, I'm going to be honest. Once you cross a certain age, especially if you're over the age of 30, especially if you're not rich yet, 90% of your life, you should not enjoy it. Now, I'm not saying you should be miserable, but it should not be blissful and fun or the idea of fun that people have today. I'm talking about laughing and partying and drinking and fucking around with women. Gee, work is not fun. Something I teach my 4-year-old son right now. I'm like, gee, you're not gonna have fun when you're working. And oh my God, I hate when like schools and nurseries and shit try to make work fun for kids and give them the idea that work is fun. It's not. You're not gonna always enjoy it. All right, G. So my story that I want to tell you, my personal story, is when I was in ghost mode for 6 months, I had to drill this in my head. And when I started to understand this, I did everything I could to make my life boring as shit. I'm talking about I deleted every app, every game. I wasn't watching TV. I turned my phone's grayscale on black and white. I didn't want any entertainment, any dopamine. Why? Because I wanted to program my mind to be able to go long periods of time without fun. That is the only way you will become massively successful. Now, if you want to just make a little bit of money and have a few experiences and travel a few times a year, yes, G, have all the fun you want. But like I said, some men are built different. I'm talking about being dangerous. I'm not talking about being normal. I'm talking about being exceptional. All right, fellas? So with anything, especially when it comes to learning, learning should be the basis and the foundation of your life. Every day you should be learning something different, not only about yourself, but about the world as well. And like I said, learning, acquiring knowledge is not fun. Sometimes it's frustrating. Sometimes it's annoying. It's irritating when you think you know something and you find out that you don't. All right, fellas? So you have to have the ability to be bored. Making money is fun, but the process of it is not enjoyable at all. Once it hits your bank account, G, you smiling. But until then, you got to sacrifice fun for a while. All right, fellas? Next one. All right, guys, let's work on some social skills. Now, there is one thing to learn how to communicate. That's the first level. The next level is assertive communication. Speaking in a way where your words hold weight. And when you say something, people actually listen and they respect what you say, and you provoke action. You provoke people to move. You provoke influence. You command authority. All right, fellas? So a lot of men today, and some of you guys watching this, you can relate. Be honest. A lot of men today, when you speak, people don't listen. People don't care. They don't respect what you say. Some men live in the same house with women that when he speaks, she doesn't listen. She doesn't care what he says. She doesn't even mind the fact that he's frustrated when he's talking. Fellas, that's a problem. All right, fellas. Now, there's different levels to this shit, and there's different reasons why people are not listening to you. But one of the reasons why is the way you speak. A lot of you guys, you ask for permission too much when you talk. A lot of you guys use phrases like, can I? If you want something, you don't ask for it. Now, if somebody has it and you don't yet have it and it's theirs, and maybe you got to be granted access to it, yes, I understand for the all police. But you get what I'm saying. If you want something, say it out loud. Project your voice. Tell the world what you want. All right, fellas, be deliberate about what you want. And I'm going to be honest, fellas, when you speak, sometimes you can't give people options. You can't tell people, if you stop doing this, I'm going to do this. That's not assertive communication because you're giving them an option. What you tell people is, don't do this. That's assertive. All right, fellas, that communication is not about your words. It's also about your actions as well. So when you tell somebody don't do something and they do something, you need to follow that up with an action. That's what I mean by assertive communication, fellas. See, you thought I was only just talking about words. Some of you guys talk too much, and that's the point. You get what I'm saying, G? So like I said, assertive communication. When you say you gonna do something, follow it up with action. Assertiveness. All right, fellas? I mean what I said. And I say what I mean. It's one of the few ways that you can get people to really respect you. All right, fellas? And I'm talking about respect you to the point where they won't try you. Why? Because they know everything that come out your mouth will be fulfilled. All right, fellas? Next one. Guys, and I'm going to drop some links in the description and the comments for some books that I want you to check out. A few books that I want you to check out that are definitely related to this topic. All right, fellas? So, combat and survival skills. Like I said earlier in the video, one of the things about being dangerous is preparing for the unexpected. So when it comes to combat, fellas, you never know. I see guys in the gym, I'm talking about hitting weights, every day, sometimes twice a day, drinking their protein, drinking their creatine, taking all their supplements, measuring out their meals, eating the right proportions, got all the aesthetics on point. But if somebody ever stepped to them in a physical, violent altercation, they would not know what to do. They wouldn't even know how to react. And if they did react, the only thing they can think of doing is flexing their muscles and trying to intimidate the person. Fellas, there will be a time, guarantee you, in your life where this is going to come in handy and this may be a necessity. So it's best that you find out a resourceful way to develop your combat skills. Fellas, and I'm not just talking about fighting. I'm talking about self-defense. I'm talking about being able to use weapons. All right, fellas, you never know what's going to happen. So you guys know how I always tell you that women are boring, right? And that's why I hate when they get mad when they say, you never want to hang out with me. You always want to hang out with your boys. It's like, because you boring as hell. You don't talk about shit. But I'm not going to lie, G. One thing that me and my girl have in common and one thing that we can have long conversations about is like conspiracy theories and like doomsday theories and stuff like that. So we always discuss and talk about what we would do if there were like a power grid collapse or like a zombie apocalypse or some crazy shit where like the whole world had to fend for themselves and everybody had to survive. And the more we talk about this, the more research I do. And the more research I do, the more I realize, and it's something that I found out and is actually written in a few books. And it says that the human race are only 9 meals away from anarchy. And what that means is 90% of people are not prepared for some crazy shit to happen if they were to have to survive for even over a week. All right. Now, let me tell you this. As a man, especially if you have a family, guys, this should be something that you should be working on. I'm not talking about every day. You shouldn't become obsessed with it, but it should be in your arsenal. All right, fellas, and this is something that you should be very knowledgeable about. I'm talking about medical survival. I'm talking about in a hypothetical case where you had to backpack you and your family and y'all had to travel on foot for 5 miles in the middle of the night just to escape some danger or some crazy shit. All right, fellas, and it don't even have to get that extreme. But as a man, you don't want to get in a situation where you die in 2.5 days because you don't know what you're doing. And then even worse, you taking care of a woman and some children. All right, fellas, or even your family or your mom or some shit like that. So, guys, you need to start gaming yourself up. Like I said, if you're still young, and even if you're still young, you still should be working on this. But if you're young, you ain't got nothing else to do but jerk off and play video games. But, fellas, at a certain age, you got to get on this. I'm already teaching my son this right now at 4 years old. So once he turned 21, he going to be a fucking savage. He going to know how to do everything. All right, fellas? So there's no situation where he won't be able to get in or out with ease. And that's how you need to be as a man. And that's how you become a dangerous man, fellas. In any situation, you have competence. You don't understand, fellas. Gee, I say this on damn near all my videos. You don't understand how sexy it is to a woman when you have competence in damn near every area of masculinity. There is nothing that you either can't do or you can't figure out how to do it. All right, fellas, women love that shit. When they can look at you and she can't find fault. You ain't perfect, but you a man. Pay attention. Next one. All right, guys. So, last one for the day. 2 points I want to explain before we end. One skill you need to develop to be a dangerous man is not being so reactive. And that's just obviously the same thing as not being so offended all the damn time, all right, G? Most people, if I would give it a number, I would say 89.26% of people walking today's planet are snowflakes. All right, fellas, and if you don't know what a snowflake is, it's this pretty little thing that comes from the sky when it snows. And as soon as it hit the ground, it fucking melts. All right, fellas, or as soon as you touch it, it melts. Or as soon as you put a little bit of heat on it, it melts and turns into water. And that's what most men do today. Under any type of pressure, under any type of stress, under any type of criticism, under any type of hate, under any type of failure, most men crumble. And they ball up and they whine. They find some type of cope. They find some type of way to complain. They find some type of way to put it on somebody else and blame. Or if they can't do that, they find an excuse for it. Fellas, as a man, if you want to become a dangerous man, stop being so easily offended by everything you hear and you see. First of all, 99% of the shit you hear and you see ain't got nothing to do with you. So 99% of the shit that you hear and you see, you shouldn't feel no type of way about it, to be honest with you. And I'm going to tell you this, even if it has to do with you, and even if it's directly correlated to you or is directed towards you, even then, 99% of that don't have anything to do with you. Even if somebody tell you some dumb shit, or they write a comment about you, or they spread rumors, and you react, you fail to realize that 99% of it has nothing to do with you. And you may be like, well, they said my name, so it has to do with me. They talking about me. They saying shit to me. It has nothing to do with you. 99% of the responses that people give you, the attitude, the vibes, the energy, has all to do with them and how they feel. And once you grow up and mature as a man and understand this, you will become deadly. You will walk through the world full of dead fucking zombies, because that's what most people are today. Dead fucking souls. So I don't even know why you letting people offend you anyway. But when you develop this skill, you will walk through the world of empty corpse as a confident, competent man, and you will become oblivious to the dumb shit people saying, especially if it's about you. All right, fellas, this is a level of confidence that a lot of you guys got to build, that once you get, God guarantee you, bro, there's nothing you can't handle. But a lot of you guys stress. Most of y'all stress today comes from what the fuck people saying about you, bro. All right, fellas, it don't even make sense. No ain't whole time. At the end of the day, one day, everybody go die anyway. So at the end of the day, none of this shit matters. But while we're here, it still doesn't matter. So fellas, two things about this. Stop being so sensitive. All right, fellas? Everything is not about you. Stop being a snowflake. All right, guys? So, appreciate you fellas for tuning in. Hope you took notes. Hope you got a lot out of today's video. If you did, share this with a homeboy that this will help out. It's your boy KD. We out here, baby.